All right, so we are on part 4. It's from Jack Will's perspective. The call. So in August, my parents got this call from Mr. Tushman, the middle school director, and my mom said, maybe he calls all the new students to welcome them. And my dad said, that's a lot of kids he'd be calling, so my mom called him back, and I could hear her talking to Mr. Tushman on the phone. This is exactly what she said. Oh, hi, Mr. Tushman. This is Amanda Will. Returning your call. Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. He is looking forward to it. Pause. Yes. Pause. Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, uh-huh. Well, that's so nice of you to say. Sure. Oh, wow. I see, of course. I'm sure he will. Let me write it down. Got it. I'll call you after I've had a chance to talk with him, okay? No, thank you for thinking of him. Bye. And when she hung up, I was like, what's up? What did he say? And Mom said, well, it's actually very flattering, but kind of sad too. See, there's this new boy who's starting middle school this year, and he's never been in a real school environment before because he was homeschooled. So Mr. Tushman talked to some of the lower school teachers to find out who they thought were some of the really, really great kids coming into 5th grade. And the teachers must have told him you were an especially nice kid, which I already knew, of course. And so Mr. Tushman is wondering if he could count on you to sort of shepherd this new boy around for a bit. Like, let him hang out with me, I said. Exactly, said Mom. Called it being a welcome buddy. But why me? I told you. Your teachers told Mr. Tushman that you were the kind of kid who's known for being a good egg. I mean, I'm so proud that they think so highly of you. Why is it sad? What do you mean? You said it's flattering, but kind of sad, too. Oh, Mom nodded. Well, apparently this boy has some sort of, I guess there's something wrong with his face, or something like that. Not sure. Maybe he was in an accident, Mr. Tushman said he'd explain a bit more when you come to school next week. School doesn't start until September. He wants you to meet this kid before school starts. Do I have to? Mom looked a bit surprised. Well, no, of course not, she said. It would be a nice thing to do, Jack. If I don't have to do it, I said, I don't want to do it. Can you at least think about it? I'm thinking about it, and I don't want to do it. Well, I'm not going to force you, she said, but at least think about it some more, okay? I'm not calling Mr. Tushman back until tomorrow, so just sit with it for a bit. I mean, Jack, I really don't think it's too much to ask of you to spend a little extra time with some new kid. It's not that, it's just that he's a new kid, Mom, I answered. He's deformed. That's a terrible thing to say, Jack. He is, Mom. You don't even know who he is yet. Yeah, I do, I said, because I knew the second she started talking about him that it was that kid named August. Carville. I remember seeing him for the first time in the front of Carville on Amherst Avenue when I was about 5 or 6. Me and Veronica, my babysitter, were sitting on the bench outside the store with Jamie, my baby brother, who was sitting in his stroller facing us. I guess I was busy eating my ice cream cone because I didn't even notice the people who sat down next to us. Then at one point I turned my head to suck the ice cream out of the bottom of my cone, and that's when I saw him, August. He was sitting right next to me. I knew it wasn't cool, but I kind of went, ugh, when I saw him because I honestly got scared. I thought he was wearing a zombie mask or something. It was the kind of, you say when you're watching a scary movie and the bad guy jumps out of the bushes. Anyway, I know it wasn't nice of me to do that, and though the kid didn't hear me, I know his sister did. Jack, we have to go, said Veronica. She had gotten up and was turning the stroller around because Jamie, who had obviously just noticed the kid too, was about to say something embarrassing. So I jumped up kind of suddenly, like a bee had landed on me, and followed Veronica as she zoomed away. I could hear the kid's mom saying softly behind us, okay guys, I think it's time to go. And I turned around to look at them one more time. The kid was licking his ice cream cone, and the mom was picking up his scooter, and the sister was glaring at me like she was going to kill me. I looked away quickly. Veronica, what's wrong with that kid? I whispered. Hush, boy, she said, her voice angry. I love Veronica, but when she got mad, she got mad. Meanwhile, Jamie was practically spilling out of his stroller trying to get another look as Veronica pushed him away. But Veronica, said Jamie, you boys are very naughty. Very, very naughty, said Veronica as soon as we were farther down the block. Staring like that? I didn't mean to, I said. Veronica, said Jamie, Us leaving like that, Veronica was muttering. Oh, that poor lady. I tell you boys, every day we should thank the Lord for our blessings. You hear me? Veronica, what is it, Jamie? Is it Halloween? No, Jamie. Then why was that boy wearing a mask? Veronica didn't answer. Sometimes when she was mad about something, she would do that. He wasn't wearing a mask, I explained to Jamie. Hush, Jack, said Veronica. Why are you so mad, Veronica? I couldn't help asking. I thought this would make her angrier, but she actually just shook her head. It was bad how we did that, she said. Just getting up like that, like we'd just seen the devil. I was scared for what Jamie was going to say, you know? I didn't want him to say anything that would hurt that little boy's feelings, but it was very bad of us leaving like that. The mama knew what was going on, but we didn't mean it, I answered. Jack, sometimes you don't have to mean it to hurt someone. You understand? That was the first time I ever saw August in the neighborhood, at least that I remember, but I've seen him around ever since then, a couple of times in the playground, a few times in the park. He used to wear an astronaut helmet sometimes, but I always knew it was him underneath the helmet. All the kids in the neighborhood knew it was him. Everyone has seen August at some point or another, and we all know his name, though he doesn't know ours. And whenever I've seen him, I try to remember what Veronica said, but it's hard. It's hard not to sneak a second look. It's hard to act normal when you see him. Why I changed my mind. Who else did Mr. Tushman call? I asked Mom later that night. Did he tell you? He mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Julian, I said. Ugh, why Julian? You used to want to be friends with Julian. Mom, that was like in kindergarten. Julian's the biggest phony there is, and he's trying so hard to be popular all the time. Well, said Mom, at least Julian agreed to help this kid out. Got to give him credit for that. I didn't say anything because she was right. What about Charlotte, I asked. Is she doing it too? Yes, Mom said. Of course she is. Charlotte's such a goody two-shoes, I answered. Boy, Jack, said Mom, you seem to have a problem with everybody these days. It's just, I started, Mom, you have no idea what this kid looks like. I can imagine. No, you can't. You've never seen him. I have. It might not even be who you're thinking it really is. Trust me, it is. And I'm telling you, it's really, really bad. He's deformed, Mom. His eyes are like down here. I pointed to my cheeks. And he has no ears. And his mouth is like... Jamie had walked into the kitchen to get a juice box from the fridge. Ask Jamie, I said. Right, Jamie? Remember that kid we saw in the park after school last year? The kid named August? That one with the face? Oh, that kid? Said Jamie, his eyes opening wide. He gave me a nightmare. Remember, Mommy? That nightmare about the zombie from last year? I thought that was from watching a scary movie, answered Mom. No, said Jamie, it was from seeing that kid. When I saw him, I was like, ah, and I ran away. Wait a minute, said Mom, getting serious. Did you do that in front of him? I couldn't help it, said Jamie, kind of whining. Of course you could help it, Mom scolded. Guys, I have to tell you, I'm really disappointed by what I'm hearing. And she looked like how she sounded. I mean, honestly, he's just a little boy, just like you. Can you imagine how he felt to see you running away from him? Jamie screaming? It wasn't a scream, argued Jamie. It was like a, ah! He put his hands on his cheeks and started running around the kitchen. Come on, Jamie, said Mom angrily. I honestly thought both of my boys were more sympathetic than that. What's sympathetic, said Jamie, who was only going into the second grade. You know exactly what I mean by sympathetic, Jamie, said Mom. He's so ugly, Mom, said Jamie. Hey, Mom yelled, I don't like that word. Jamie, just get your juice box. I want to talk to Jack alone for a second. Look, Jack, said Mom as soon as he left, and I knew she was about to give me a whole speech. Okay, I'll do it, I said, which completely shocked her. You will? Yes. So I can call Mr. Tushman? Yes, Mom, yes, I just said yes. Mom smiled. I knew you'd rise to the occasion, kiddo. Good for you. I'm proud of you, Jackie. She messed up my hair. So here's why I changed my mind. It wasn't so I wouldn't have to hear Mom give me a whole lecture, and it wasn't to protect this kid August from this kid Julian, who I knew would be a jerk about the whole thing. It was because when I heard Jamie talking about how we had ran away from August going, ah, I suddenly felt really bad. The thing is, there are always going to be kids like Julian who are jerks. But if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually a nice enough kid, can be that mean, then a kid like August doesn't stand a chance in middle school. 4 things. First of all, you do get used to his face. The first couple of times I was like, whoa, I'm never going to get used to this. And then after about a week, I was like, it's not so bad. Second of all, he's actually a really cool dude. I mean, he's pretty funny. And like the teacher will say something and August will whisper something funny to me that no one else hears and totally make me crack up. He's also just overall a nice kid. Like, he's easy to hang out with and talk to and stuff. Third of all, he's really smart. I thought he'd be behind everyone because he hadn't gone to school before. But in most things, he's way ahead of me. I mean, maybe not as smart as Charlotte or Jimena, but he's up there. And unlike Charlotte or Jimena, he lets me cheat off of him if I really need to, though I've only needed to a couple of times. He also let me copy his homework once, though we both got in trouble for it after class. The 2 of you got the exact same answers wrong on yesterday's homework, Miss Rubin said, looking at both of us like she was waiting for an explanation. I didn't know what to say, because the explanation would have been, oh, that's because I copied August's homework. But August lied to protect me. He was like, oh, that's because we did our homework together last night, which wasn't true at all. Well, doing homework together is a good thing, Miss Rubin answered, but you're supposed to still do it separately, okay? You could work side by side if you want, but you can't actually do your homework together, okay? Got it? After we left the classroom, I said, dude, thanks for doing that, and he was like, no problem. That was cool. Fourthly, now that I know him, I would say I actually do want to be friends with August. At first, I admitted I was the only friendly to him because Mr. Tushman asked me to be, especially nice and all that. But now I would choose to hang out with him. And he laughs at all my jokes. And I kind of feel like I can tell August anything. Like he's a good friend. Like if all the guys in 5th grade were lined up against a wall and I got to choose anyone I wanted to hang out with, I would choose August. Ex-friends. Bleeding Scream? What? Summer Dawson has always been a bit out there, but this was too much. All I did was ask her why August was acting like he was mad at me or something. I figured she would know, and all she said was bleeding scream? I don't even know what that means. It's so weird because one day me and August were friends, and the next day, whoosh, he was hardly talking to me, and I haven't the slightest idea why. When I said to him, hey August, you mad at me or something? He shrugged and walked away. So I would take that as a definite yes. And since I know for a fact that I didn't do anything to him to be mad about, I figured Summer could tell me what's up. But all I got from her was, bleeding scream? Yeah, big help. Thanks, Summer. You know, I've got plenty of friends in other schools. So if August wants to officially be my ex-friend, then fine. That is okay by me. See if I care. I've started ignoring him like he's ignoring me in school now. This is actually kind of hard since we sit right next to each other practically in every class. Other kids have noticed and have asked why, if August and I had a fight or what's going on. Nobody asks August what's going on. Hardly anyone ever talks to him anyway. I mean, the only person he hangs out with other than me is Summer. And sometimes he hangs out with Reed Kingsley a little bit, and 2 of the Maxes got him playing Dungeons and Dragons a couple of times at recess. Charlotte, for all her goody two-shoeing, doesn't ever do more than nod hello when she's passing by him in the hallway. And I don't know if everyone's still playing the play game behind his back, because no one ever really told me about it directly. But my point is that it's not like he has a whole lot of other friends he could be hanging out with instead of me. If he wants to diss me, he's the one who loses, not me. They're between us now. We only talk to each other about school stuff if we absolutely have to. Like I'll say, what did Ruben say the homework was? And he'll answer. Or he'll be like, can I use your pencil sharpener? And I'll get my sharpener out of my pencil case for him. But as soon as the bell rings, we go our separate ways. Why this is good is because I get to hang out with a lot more kids now. Before, when I was hanging out with August all the time, kids weren't hanging out with me because they'd have to hang out with him. Or they would keep things from me, like the whole thing about the plague. I think I was the only one who wasn't in on it, except for Summer, and maybe the D&D crowd. And the truth is, though nobody's that obvious about it, nobody wants to hang out with him. And everyone's way too hung up on being in the popular group, and he's just as far from the popular group as you can get. But now I can hang out with anyone I want. If I wanted to be in the popular group, I could totally be in the popular group. Why this is bad is because, well, A, I don't actually enjoy hanging out with the popular group that much, and B, I actually liked hanging out with August. So this is kind of messed up, and it's all August's fault. The first snow of winter hit right before Thanksgiving break. School was closed, so we got an extra day of vacation. I was glad about that because I was so bummed about this whole August thing, and I just wanted some time to chill without having to see him every day. Also, waking up to a snow day is just about my favorite thing in the world. I love that feeling when you first open your eyes in the morning and you don't even know why everything seems different than usual. Then it hits you, everything is quiet. No cars honking, no buses going down the streets. Then you run over to the window and outside everything is covered in white. The sidewalks, the trees, the cars on the streets, the window pane. And when that happens on a school day and you find out that your school is closed, well, I don't care how old I get. I'm always going to think that that's the best feeling in the world. And I'm never going to be one of those grown-ups that uses an umbrella when it's snowing, ever. Dad's school is closed too, so he took me and Jamie sledding down Skeleton Hill in the park. They say a little kid broke his neck while sledding down that hill a few years ago, but I don't know if that's actually true or just one of those legends. On the way home, I spotted this banged-up wooden sled kind of propped up against the old Indian rock monument. Dad said to leave it. It was just garbage. But something told me that it would make the greatest sled ever. So Dad let me drag it home, and I spent the rest of the day fixing it up. I super glued the broken slats together and wrapped some heavy-duty white duct tape around them for extra strength. Then I spray painted the whole thing white with the paint that I had gotten for the Egyptian Museum project. When it was all dry, I painted lightning in gold letters on the middle piece of wood, and I made a little lightning bolt symbol above the letters. It looked pretty professional, I have to say. Dad was like, "Wow, you were right about that sled." The next day we went back to Skeleton Hill with lightning. It was the fastest thing I've ever ridden. So much faster than the plastic sleds we've been using. And because it had gotten warmer outside, the snow had become crunchier and more wet. Good packing snow. Me and Jamie took turns on lightning all afternoon. We were in the park until our fingers were frozen and our lips had turned a little blue. Dad practically had to drag us home, and by the end of the weekend, the snow had started turning gray and yellow, and then a rainstorm turned most of the snow to slush. When we got back to school on Monday, there was no snow left. It was rainy and yucky the first day back from vacation. A slushy day, and that's how I was feeling inside too. I nodded, "Hey," to August the first time I saw him. We were in front of the lockers, and he nodded, "Hey," back. I wanted to tell him about lightning, but I didn't. Fortune favors the bold. Mr. Brown's December precept was, "Fortune favors the bold." We were all supposed to write a paragraph about some time in our lives when we did something very brave, and how because of it, something good happens to us. I thought about this a lot. To be truthful, I have to say that I think the bravest thing I ever did was become friends with August. But I couldn't write about that, of course. I was afraid that we'd have to read these out loud, or Mr. Brown would put them up on the bulletin board like he does sometimes. So instead, I wrote this lame thing about how I used to be afraid of the ocean when I was little. It was silly, but I couldn't think of anything else. I wonder what August wrote about. He probably had a lot of things to choose from. Private school. My parents are not rich, and I say this because sometimes people think that everyone who goes to private school is rich, but that just isn't true. Dad's a teacher and Mom's a social worker, which means that they don't have the kinds of jobs where people are making gazillions of dollars. We used to have a car, but we sold it when Jamie started kindergarten at Beecher Prep. We don't live in a big townhouse or in one of those doorman buildings along the park. We live on the top floor of a 5-story walk-up that we rent from an old lady named Donna, all the way on the other side of Broadway, and that's code for the section of North River Heights where people don't want to park their cars. Me and Jamie share a room, and I overhear my parents talk about things like, "Can we do without an air conditioner one year? Or maybe I can work 2 jobs this summer." So today at recess, I was hanging out with Julian and Henry and Miles. Julian, who everyone knows is rich, was like, "I hate that I have to go to Paris this Christmas. It's so boring." "Dude, but it's like Paris," I said. Believe me, it's so boring, he said. My grandmother lives in this house in the middle of nowhere. It's like an hour away from Paris in this tiny, tiny village. And I swear, nothing happens there. I mean, it's like, oh wow, there's another fly in the wall. Look, there's a new dog sleeping on the sidewalk. Yippee. I laughed. Sometimes Julian could be very funny. Parents were talking about throwing a big party this year instead of going to Paris. I hope so. What are you doing over break? Said Julian. Just hanging out, I said. You're so lucky, he said. I hope it snows again, I answered. I got this new sled that is so amazing. I was about to tell him about lightning, but Miles started talking first. I got a new sled too, he said. My dad got it from Hammacher Schlemmer, and it's so state-of-art. How could a sled be a state-of-the-art? Asked Julian. It was like $800 or something. Whoa. We should all go sledding and have a race down Skeleton Hill, I said. That hill is so lame, answered Julian. Are you kidding, I said. Some kid broke his neck there. That's why it's called Skeleton Hill. Julian narrowed his eyes and looked at me like I was the biggest moron in the world. It's called Skeleton Hill because it was an ancient Indian burial ground. Duh, he said. Anyway, it should be called Garbage Hill. Now it's so junky. Last time I was there, it was so gross. Like with soda cans and broken bottles and stuff. He shook his head. I left my old sled there, said Miles. It was the crappiest piece of junk, and someone took it too. Maybe a hobo wanted to go sledding, laughed Julian. Where did you leave it? I said. By the big rock at the bottom of the hill, and I went back the next day and it was gone. I couldn't believe somebody actually took it. Here's what we can do, said Julian. Next time it snows, my dad could drive us all to this golf course in Westchester that makes Skeleton Hill look like nothing. Hey Jack, where are you going? I had started walking away. I've got to get a book out of my locker, I lied. I just wanted to get away from them as fast as I could. I didn't want anyone to know that I was the hobo who had taken the sled. In science. I'm not the greatest student in the world, and I know some kids actually like school, but I honestly can't say that I do. I like some parts of school, like PE and computer class, lunch and recess, but all in all, I'd be fine without school. And the thing I hate the most about school is all the homework. It's not enough that we have to sit through class after class and try to stay awake while they fill our heads with all this stuff. Like how to figure out the surface area of a cube, or what's the difference between kinetic and potential energy. I'm like, who cares? I've never ever heard my parents say the word kinetic in my entire life. I hate science the most out of all my classes. We get so much work it's not even funny. And the teacher, Miss Rubin, is so strict about everything. Even the way we write our headings on the top of our papers. I once got 2 points off of a homework assignment because I didn't put the date on the top. Crazy stuff. When me and August were still friends, I was doing okay in science, because August sat right next to me and always let me copy his notes. August had the neatest handwriting of anybody I've ever seen. Even his script is neat, up and down perfectly, with really small, round, loopy letters. But now that we're ex-friends, it's bad because I can't ask him to let me copy his notes down anymore. So I was kind of scrambling today, trying to take notes about what Miss Rubin was saying, and my handwriting is awful. When all of a sudden, he started talking about the 5th grade science fair project and how we all had to choose a science project to work on. While she was saying this, I was thinking, we just finished the Egyptian project and now we have to start a whole new one? And then in my head I was going, oh no, like that kid in Home Alone with his mouth hanging open and his hands on his face. That was the face I was making on the inside. And then I thought of those pictures of the melting ghost faces I've seen somewhere, where the mouths are open wide and they're screaming. And then all of a sudden this picture flew into my head, this memory. And I knew what Summer had meant by a bleeding scream. It's so weird how it all just came back to me in this flash. Someone in my homeroom had dressed up in a bleeding scream costume on Halloween. I remember seeing him a few desks away from me, and then I remember not seeing him again. Oh man, it was August. All of this hit me in science class while the teacher was talking. Oh man. I had been talking to Julian about August. Oh man. Now I understood. I was so mean. I don't even know why. I'm not even sure what I said, but it was bad. It was only a minute or two. It's sure what I said. I'm not even sure what I said, but it was bad. It's just that I knew Julian and everybody thought I was so weird for hanging out with August all the time, and I felt stupid. And I don't know why I said that stuff. I was just going along. I was stupid. I am stupid. Oh my gosh. He was supposed to come as Boba Fett. I would have never said that stuff in front of Boba Fett, but that was him, the bleeding scream, sitting at the desk, looking over at us. The long white mask and the fake squirting blood. The mouth open wide like the ghoul was crying. That was him. I felt like I was going to puke. Partners. I didn't hear a word of what Miss Rubin was saying after that. Blah, blah, blah. Science fair project. Blah, blah, blah. Partners. It was like the way the grown-ups talk in Charlie Brown movies. Like someone was talking underwater. Then all of a sudden, Miss Rubin started pointing to the kids around the class. Reed and Tristan, Maya and Max, Charlotte and Jimena, August and Jack. And she pointed to us when she said this. Miles and Amos, Julian and Henry, Savannah and... I didn't hear the rest. Huh? I said. The bell rang. So don't forget to get together with your partners to choose a project from the list, guys, said Miss Rubin as everyone started taking off. I looked up at August, but he had already put his backpack on and was practically out the door. I must have had a stupid look on my face because Julian came over and said, "Looks like you and your best bud are partners." He was smirking when he said this. I hated him so much right now. "Hello, Earth to Jack Will," he said when I didn't answer him. "Shut up, Julian." "Be quiet, Julian." I was putting my loose-leaf binder away in my backpack and just wanted him away from me. "You must be so bummed that you got stuck with him," he said. "You should tell Miss Rubin that you want to switch partners. I bet she would let you." "No, she wouldn't," I said. "Ask her." "No, I don't want to." "Miss Rubin," Julian said, turning around and raising his hand. Miss Rubin was erasing the chalkboard at the front of the room. She turned when she heard her name. "No, Julian," I screamed. "What is it, boys?" she said impatiently. "Could we switch partners if we wanted to?" said Julian, looking very innocent. "Me and Jack had this science fair project idea that we wanted to work on together." "Well, I guess we could arrange that," she started to say. "No, it's okay, Miss Rubin," I said quickly, heading over to the door. "Bye." Julian ran after me. "Why did you do that?" he said, catching up to me at the stairs. "We could have been partners, and you don't have to be friends with that freak if you don't want to be, you know." And that's when I punched him, right in the mouth. Detention. Some things you can't just explain. You don't even try. You don't know where to start. Sentences would jumble up like a giant knot if you opened your mouth. Any words you used would come out wrong. "Jack, this is very, very serious," Mr. Tushman was saying. I was in his office, sitting on a chair across from his desk and looking at this picture of a pumpkin on the wall. "Kids get expelled for this kind of thing, Jack. And I know you're a good kid, and I don't want that to happen. But you have to explain yourself." "This is so not like you, Jack," said Mom. She had come from work as soon as they had called her. I could tell she was going back and forth between being really mad and really surprised. "I thought you and Julian were friends," said Mr. Tushman. "We're not friends," I said. My arms were crossed in front of me. "But to punch someone in the mouth, Jack?" said Mom, raising her voice. "I mean, what were you thinking?" She looked at Mr. Tushman. "Honestly, he's never hit anyone before. He's just not like that." "Julian's mouth was bleeding, Jack," said Mr. Tushman. "You knocked out a tooth. Did you know that?" "It was just a baby tooth," I said. "Jack," said Mom, shaking her head. "That's what Nurse Molly said." "You're missing the point," Mom yelled. "I just want to know why," said Mr. Tushman, raising his shoulders. "It'll just make everything worse," I sighed. "Just tell me, Jack." I shrugged, but I didn't say anything. I just couldn't. If I had told him that Julian had called August a freak, then he would go to Julian to talk about it, and then Julian would tell him how I had bad-mouthed August too, and everybody would find out about it. "Jack," said Mom. I started to cry. "I'm sorry." Mr. Tushman raised his eyebrows and nodded, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he kind of blew it into his hands, like you do when your hands are cold. "Jack," he said, "I don't really know what to say here. I mean, you punched a kid. We have rules about that kind of thing, you know? Automatic expulsion. And you're not even trying to explain yourself." I was crying a lot by now, and the second Mom put her arms around me, I just started bawling. "Let's, said Mr. Tushman, taking his glasses off to clean them. "Let's do this, Jack. We're out for winter break as of next week anyway. How about you stay home for the rest of this week, and then after winter break, you'll come back and everything will be fresh and brand new, clean slate, so to speak." "Am I being suspended?" I sniffled. Well, he said, shrugging, technically yes, but it's only for a couple of days, and I'll tell you what. While you're at home, you take the time to think about what's happened. And if you want to write me a letter explaining what happened, and a letter to Julian apologizing, then we won't even put any of this in your permanent record, okay? You go home and talk about it with your mom and dad, and maybe in the morning you'll figure it all out a bit more. That sounds like a good plan, Mr. Tushman, said Mom. Thank you. Everything is going to be okay, said Mr. Tushman, walking over to the door, which was closed. I know you're a nice kid, Jack, and I know that sometimes even nice kids do silly things, right? He opened the door. Thank you for being so understanding, said Mom, shaking his hand at the door. No problem. He leaned over and told her something quietly that I couldn't hear. I know. Thank you, said Mom, nodding. So, kiddo, he said to me, putting his hands on my shoulders, think about what you've done, okay? And have a great holiday. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy Kwanzaa. I wiped my nose with my sleeve and started walking out the door. Say thank you to Mr. Tushman, said Mom, tapping my shoulder. I stopped and turned around, but I couldn't look at him. Thank you, Mr. Tushman, I said. Bye, Jack, he answered. Then I walked out the door. Season's greetings. Weirdly enough, when we got back home and Mom brought in the mail, there were a few holiday cards from both Julian's family and August's family. Julian's holiday card was a picture of Julian wearing a tie, looking like he was about to go to the opera or something. And August's holiday card was of a cute old dog wearing reindeer antlers, a red nose, and red booties. And there was a cartoon bubble above the dog's head that read, Ho, ho, ho. On the inside of the card it read, To the Will family, peace on earth. Love Nate, Isabel, Olivia, August, and Daisy. Cute card, huh? I said to Mom, who was hardly saying a word to me all the way home. I think she honestly just didn't know what to say. That must be their dog, I said. Do you want to tell me what's going on inside your head, Jack? She answered. I bet they put a picture of their dog on the card every year, I said. She took the cards from my hands and looked at the picture carefully. Then she raised her eyebrows and her shoulders and gave me the card back. We're very lucky, Jack. There's so much we take for granted. I know, I said. I knew what she was talking about without her having to say it. I heard that Julian's mom actually photoshopped August's face out of the class picture when she got it. She gave a copy to a couple of the other moms. That's just so awful, said Mom. People are they're not always so great. I know. Is that why you hit Julian? No. And then I told her why I punched Julian, and I told her that August was my ex-friend now, and I told her all about Halloween.